For some, the past is a ghost, but for Li Zhilin, it's a wound that never truly healed, a pain that was only forgotten over time. A chilling letter haunts her thoughts, a final command from someone long gone: he has come and she must kill him. This mission was a second chance given by heaven, a chance to choose a family. But that choice was double-edged, a desperate desire to save one of them and an equally powerful urge to kill the other. In a haze of blood and regret, a silver-haired boy named Glenn once promised he'd go to hell with her, blaming himself for everything. Now a man with haunted eyes begs for atonement, needing her, while Glenn resolves to move forward. But for Zhilin, the target she must kill is one of the two men she is fated to meet again. In a room filled with memories, Zeyu clutches his head, tormented by a past failure, a shattered glass mirroring his broken state. He whispers that it's all his fault, staring at an old photograph of himself and another boy from the orphanage. He has to atone. A few days later in Jiangxi, Li Zhilin, a ballerina, stands in the rain, smoking a cigarette before her big performance of Swan Lake. She rereads the same ominous letter, a message addressed to her this time, ordering her to kill him because he has come to find her. Her friend interrupts, playfully asking if she's reading a love letter before snatching it. Zhilin coolly dismisses it as a prank. Her friend, oblivious, starts gushing about a handsome and funny male streamer she's obsessed with. But when Zhilin glances at the screen, her composure shatters. It's him. The face from her past stares back at her, triggering a storm of emotions. Outside the theater, her friend Zeyu asks for a cigarette. Zhilin suddenly announces she's returning to Shanghai for a relative's funeral and has already informed the troupe leader. Her friend is stunned, asking how she can give up a role she worked so hard for. Zhilin looks into the rain, stating that her mother already disowned her, so it doesn't matter. And besides, what she truly wanted to be was never the white swan. 2 days later in Shanghai, she stands near a graveyard, waiting for a farewell ceremony. She overhears people chatting about their successful lives, a world away from her own shadowed purpose. She waits patiently by Aunt Q's grave, her expression unreadable. As another woman suggests they leave, Zhilin asks to wait a bit longer. A hand reaches out through the foliage, and she sees the silver-haired man from her memories, Glenn, standing before Zeyu. Zeyu's crimson eyes lock onto hers, a smirk playing on his lips as he confirms her identity, asking if she is Li Zhilin. The question transports her back to the orphanage, to a small crying girl with a scraped knee and a dropped bucket. The memory is a whirlwind of conflicting emotions, a voice in her head pleading, "Don't go." Back in the present, the two men stand before her, Zeyu greeting her casually as if no time has passed at all. And as she looks at them both, she thinks to herself that they have finally met, and the person she is meant to kill is one of them. As they shake hands, Zeyu's young ward coughs, breaking the tension. The boy remarks that she found them, but Glenn corrects him, saying he found her. Glenn then excuses himself, leaving Zhilin alone with Zeyu. Zeyu notes that this is their first meeting since the orphanage. He leans in close, a playful glint in his eye, asking if she thinks he looks like the male lead in a romantic drama under the perfect lighting. Dismissing his antics, Zhilin asks what he wants, and he explains he just needed a photo for his social media quota. He then asks if she became a ballet dancer, and the question sends her spiraling into the past again. She remembers being a shy little girl, too scared to get on stage. Zeyu had encouraged her, even demonstrating a ballet pose himself to make her laugh. He'd stumbled, but she caught him, and he praised her for being a cool hero. She had called herself ugly, but he reassured her, saying confidence was all that mattered. He told her heaven had given them a second chance to choose their own family. His question, "Can you dance now?" echoes from the past, but the memory twists into a nightmare. She's falling into a dark abyss. The words "kill him" violently scrawled across her vision. She clutches her head, overwhelmed by the psychic assault. The pain brings her crashing back to reality, and she stumbles. Zeyu catches her, his playful demeanor vanishing as he asks if she's all right. He insists on finding her a place to rest, but as he supports her, Glenn watches them from a distance, his expression a mask of cold fury. In the sterile quiet of a moving car, Tao Ye's gaze drifts to the rearview mirror where a woman named Glenn sleeps peacefully, and a quiet resentment builds within him as he silently questions why she is even with them. The driver, his silver-haired companion Zhan Zeyu, explains that he offered her their spare room, remarking on how cute she looks while sleeping. He reminds Tao Ye of her predicament, a falling out with her foster mother leaving her with nowhere to go in Shanghai, and chastises him for being so cold to a childhood friend. But Zeyu's expression hardens as he looks back at the sleeping Glenn, coldly stating that he doesn't consider her a friend at all. He quickly changes the subject, warning Tao Ye not to cause another incident like the last time, leaving Tao Ye to mull over the fact that Glenn has finally reappeared in their lives. Arriving at their building, Tao Ye explains the layout, offering Glenn the spare unit, but when she offers to pay rent, he dismisses it, suggesting the now famous photographer Zeyu can cover it. Zeyu immediately shuts that down, coldly stating he doesn't need her, and announces his job is done before retreating to his room. Tao Ye's attempt to reunite the orphanage trio for celebratory drinks is met with a harsh rejection from Zeyu, who tells them to go by themselves. Watching him leave, Glyn astutely observes that Zhan Zeyu is clearly wary of her, which she deems fair after so many years, but she finds Tao Ye's unguarded happiness at seeing her far more curious. He smiles, commenting on how much she's grown before inviting her for a drink again, an offer she finds impossible to refuse. As they head to a bar, Zeyu stands alone in his shadowed room, a silent observer. At the raccoon bar, Tao Ye offers Glyn a fruity drink, but she insists on having whatever he's having. The bar's owner is impressed when Glyn expertly pops open a beer bottle with a pair of chopsticks, complimenting Tao Ye on his pretty companion. The insinuation that they are a couple makes Tao Ye instantly uncomfortable, and a sudden desire to go home washes over him. Glyn notices his discomfort and playfully reassures him that she was just teasing, before excusing herself to the restroom. On her way, however, a chilling sensation creeps up her spine, the distinct feeling of being watched from the window. In the restroom, as she splashes water on her face, the sound of a young girl sobbing from a stall triggers a dark, fragmented memory, a traumatic echo she desperately tries to push away, leaning against the door and begging it to stop following her. 20 minutes later, she returns to find Tao Ye completely drunk. And as he slumps onto the table, that unsettling feeling of being watched returns. The cool night air sobers Tao Ye slightly, and he decides they should leave, asking her for a cigarette. She hands him her last one, gently chiding him that smoking is bad for him. In a bold move, she takes the lit cigarette from his lips and brings it to her own, suggesting they share. In the charged silence that follows, she proposes they go to his place for another drink, and he quietly agrees. But as they ascend the stairs, their night is violently interrupted by a screaming woman named Lin Na who lunges at them, accusing them of being cheaters. Tao Ye shoves Glyn out of the way just in time to take a stinging slap across the face. Glyn calmly touches his bruised cheek. As Lin Na, Tao Ye's obsessive ex, demands to know who Glyn is and when their affair started. Glyn internally realizes Tao Ye is far more complicated than she thought and decides to change her approach. At her door, she tries to reason with Lin Na, who refuses to accept their breakup. Tao Ye realizes Lin Na was the person staring at them from the bar. As the confrontation escalates, he apologizes to Glyn for the ruined night and asks for 30 minutes to handle his ex. Glyn coolly declines, wishes them a good night, and shuts the door, left to wonder if she is the thing he needs to settle. 3 days later, a visibly exhausted Glyn tries to buy sleeping pills from a pharmacy. But her phone buzzes incessantly with calls she ignores, and a flood of messages from her old dance troupe berating her for leaving. The emotional onslaught is too much, and outside she collapses by a trash can, overcome with nausea. A voice asks if she's sick, and she looks up to see Zhan Zeyu standing over her. He eyes her frog print pajamas and asks if that's what women her age wear, a comment that flusters her. As he starts to leave, he turns back and cheekily invites Miss Frog for a late-night snack. He notices her glasses, and she defensively calls them fashion perfection. He suddenly gets up and leaves her waiting, making her feel deeply self-conscious about her pajamas and holy slippers, only to return with a warm cup of pumpkin porridge, telling her it will soothe her throat. As she takes a sip and is stunned, it's sweet. The taste unlocks a forgotten memory of her saying the perfect porridge needs 2 spoons of sugar. Her eyes meet Zeyu's, and in his steady gaze, she finds an unspoken understanding. He remembered. The restaurant owner interrupts Li Zhilin and Chen Zeyu's quiet dinner, offering a complimentary dish because they look so good together, but Zeyu immediately shuts down Zhilin's suggestion to drink, stating coldly that he's not drinking tonight. He calls her Kai Yi, a formal name that hangs heavy in the air. Chen Zeyu then reaches out, saying there's something on her shoulder, but Li Zhilin recoils with the speed of a startled cat, a max-level dodge that makes him wonder if he's some kind of virus. Changing the subject, he pierces the silence by asking if she's met Tao Ye's ex-girlfriend Lin Na. The sudden question catches Zhilin completely off guard, leaving her speechless. Just as the man himself, Tao Ye makes a dramatic entrance. He immediately accuses them of dating behind his back, then leans in to whisper a chilling confession to Zeyu. He's planted a tracker on him, hidden away in his underwear. Tao Ye warns Zhilin to be careful of silent men like Zeyu, calling them the most dangerous, causing Zhilin to sigh that she came out to relieve stress, only to find herself surrounded by it. Her phone buzzes with a message from a senior asking for help with a Swan Lake performance. Tao Ye immediately becomes possessive, demanding to know if Zhilin has cut ties with Lin Na, claiming he only sent her away because she was unstable and then brazenly labeling himself a scumbag. Caught between the two intense men, Zhilin looks down at her phone and makes a decision, inviting both of them to come watch her ballet performance. A week later, she's backstage, a vision in her swan costume adjusting her tiara in the mirror, while Chen Zeyu stands nearby, camera in hand. Tao Ye smirks, commenting on Zeyu's photographer instincts, but Zeyu coolly replies that he doesn't photograph just anyone, his words a clear challenge. Jelen emerges, holding out tickets for them, and in a flash, both men reach for them simultaneously, their hands hovering over hers as they both declare they'll take them. The air crackles with unspoken rivalry, leaving Jelen utterly bewildered by the sudden tension. Zeyu grabs Tao Ye's hand, telling him to take his and Lena's tickets while he handles Jelen's. But Tao Ye shoves his hand away. Instead, he takes Jelen's hand gently, his voice a low murmur that cuts through the backstage noise. He confesses that he's pictured her achieving her dream countless times, but nothing compares to seeing her like this right now. She pulls away, saying she needs to get ready, but his words linger. After she leaves, Tao Ye confronts Zeyu, saying he wants to talk about Jelen, but a dark, bloody memory flashes through Zeyu's mind, a promise to follow someone to hell. He snaps back to reality as Tao Ye tells him the show is starting. In the audience, Tao Ye's girlfriend Lena texts a friend, complaining that he brought her to a ballet performance. Tao Ye himself looks utterly bored. He whispers to Zeyu to go check on the jealous Lena. But a short while later, Zeyu notices she's vanished and asks where she went. With a grim expression, Tao Ye says he'll be right back. He finds Lena sobbing on a grand staircase, clutching her phone. He confronts her coldly, asking how long she plans to continue her game of lies and revealing he knows about her new boyfriend waiting for her. Lena is stunned, asking how he could accuse her, but Tao Ye methodically dismantles her story, revealing he's in her fan group on an alternate account and knows she lied about taking a train when she was really in a supercar. He points to her shoes, the very ones she wanted as a gift, exposing her deceptions one by one. As Lena breaks down in tears, he tells her to leave or regret it, adding that even if it were a misunderstanding, he's still unhappy. After the show, Jelen takes her curtain call to thunderous applause. Later, the three of them are eating when Tao Ye's personal assistant is mentioned, a fact that surprises Jelen. Her phone buzzes with a text from her senior, who claims to have seen Jelen's childhood friend, Shenzhen Cheng, in the audience. The two men notice her troubled expression, but she deflects by saying her friend was just complimenting how handsome they are. Their meal is shattered when Tao Ye's assistant, Lan Minjiu, bursts in with terrible news. Lena has put Tao Ye on blast on a gossip account, and the post is rapidly going viral. Tao Ye, who had turned off his notifications to watch Jelen's performance, calmly checks his phone. Jelen, overwhelmed, asks for a cigarette. As Lan Minjiu fumbles for a lighter, Jelen reads the headline accusing Tao Ye of neglecting his girlfriend for a lovesick neighbor. Her blood runs cold as she scrolls down and sees a candid photo of herself included in the article. The phone slips from her trembling grasp, clattering on the table. Lan Minjiu warns that the post will explode across the internet within hours, and Jelen clutches her arm, her eyes wide with horror as Zeyu asks if she's okay. Jelen wakes with a gasp, ripped from a nightmare of a giant, watching eye. A voice echoes in her mind, a venomous whisper asking if she still remembers who he is. She sits up in bed, heart pounding, the terror of the dream clinging to her like a shroud. She thought she had let it go, but a single message dragged her back into the abyss. A stark reminder that pain is only forgotten, never erased. Seeking solace, she steps onto the balcony, lighting a cigarette and letting the smoke curl into the night sky. Her neighbor, Tao Ye, is there on his own balcony, and he notes that she's not asleep. He jokes grimly that he's the world's biggest scumbag, so reviled that the world is cursing his ancestors' graves, though he adds with a hollow laugh that they don't even have any. The shared moment of bleak humor is broken when he asks how her new family is. Jelen takes a long drag, musing that adults always act for their own purposes, even with their children. She reveals her mother's dream was for her to take her place on stage. A dream shattered by the fact that Jelen isn't her biological child and lacks the necessary talent. The confession hangs in the air and Tao Ye calls her over, his voice soft. He gently takes the cigarette from her lips, telling her it doesn't suit her as he caresses her hair, urging her to stop acting so tough. He asks how she's been, but before she can answer, he starts joking about how popular he is, causing her to threaten to go back to bed. Alone again, Tao Ye's facade crumbles as he stares at the hateful comments on his phone. His voice cracks as he calls out her name, Li Zhilin, begging her to come out because he needs her. He counts down from 3, his hope fading with each second. But just as he gives up, she appears with a bottle of alcohol, asking if he planned on just standing there. Overwhelmed with relief, he looks at her and confesses he thinks he might be in love with her. But back in the quiet of her room, a new message illuminates her phone screen, a chilling declaration from an unknown sender. I know it's you. The night's peace is shattered again when her phone buzzes with another unknown number. As she answers, Tao Ye asks why she's picking up calls from other people so late. A familiar, terrifying voice comes through the speaker, calling her Jelen and mocking her for not recognizing her first love. The bottle slips from her trembling hand and shatters on the floor. The voice continues its venomous assault, asking if she's with that influencer Tao Ye, sneering that he must look a lot like him. With quiet fury, Tao Ye, now standing barefoot amidst the broken glass, orders her to hang up the phone right now. Jelen disconnects the call, and he tells her to put her hand on his shoulder before sweeping her into his arms, carrying her away from the danger. She realizes it's the first time she's ever seen him truly angry. Inside, as he carefully dresses the cut on her foot, she quietly asks why he's so upset. He slams his fist down, his voice trembling with rage as he demands to know how she could be so reckless with herself, screaming that she's a dancer and her feet are everything. His outburst leaves her stunned into silence, and he asks how else she expected him to wake her up before he flees the room in a state of confusion, thinking that he's not the one who needs to be sober. The next day, she finds his door shut tight. He's deliberately avoiding her. Inside, his silver-haired friend is trying to coax him out, but Tao Ye grabs him, begging him not to leave and reveal his presence. Zhan, meanwhile, scrolls through the vicious online rumors about Tao Ye, her anxiety mounting as she realizes she needs to stop the cyberbullying before they dig too deep and unearth the incident from their past. On the third day, she meets with the friend, who tells her that Tao Ye just wants to be reunited with his good friend, her. Cutting to the chase, Zhelin asks for Lin Na's number, declaring her intent to send a challenge letter. On the call, she coldly informs a shocked Lin Na that she is going to lose completely, because they are stray dogs who will do anything to protect what's theirs. As she prepares for a live stream to clear Tao Ye's name, a series of increasingly disturbing messages arrive from an unknown number. The sender knows her schedule, her performance routes, and has even been in her dressing room. A video clip arrives, followed by a final, terrifying promise. We'll be meeting again soon, Zhelin. Her friend notices her distress, but she pushes it down, her voice steady as she says it's nothing, and that it's time to get started. Zeyu secures the final piece of the puzzle, confirming to his contact that the transfer records have been received, providing him with all the evidence he needs against Lin Na. On the screen, a message from her current boyfriend details her deception, revealing she had claimed to be single while receiving hundreds of private transfers. His companion, Tao Ye, stares at the screen, but his thoughts are elsewhere. Zeyu notes with cold amusement that while Lin Na wants to crush him, Tao Ye is still preoccupied with his living easel and advises against posting the evidence online. Suddenly, a notification buzzes, shattering the tense silence. Zeyu announces that Tao Ye's alternate account has inexplicably gone live, far ahead of schedule. Tao Ye's eyes widen in confusion, a confusion that turns to sheer panic when the name Li Zhilin flashes across the screen. Recognizing the woman on the livestream, Tao Ye shoves past Zeyu, rushing out of the room in a desperate frenzy. On the stream, the masked woman introduces herself as Li Zhilin, a friend of Tao Ye's from the orphanage, holding up her adoption document as proof. As the chat explodes with curiosity, Tao Ye is paralyzed by a visceral memory, a phantom voice whispering a promise to meet again that he furiously dismisses as nonsense. Later, Li Zhilin awakens on a couch, a soft blanket draped over her. Zeyu is sitting nearby, his expression unreadable as he informs her the broadcast is over and that Tao Ye had to leave. A wave of guilt washes over Zhilin as she admits she said something to upset him, a secret she decides to keep between them. As her phone begins to ring insistently, Zeyu's demeanor shifts. He pulls her close, his voice low as he suggests a walk to clear his head, a walk for just the two of them. He instructs her to bring her ID and keys, his intensity leaving no room for argument. In the car, she remarks that his phone has been ringing nonstop, but he simply mutes it, his focus entirely on their destination, East Pole Island. Meanwhile, Zhilin's own phone, now in Zeyu's possession, is bombarded with frantic messages from Tao Ye, begging her to answer, demanding to know if she ever thinks of him. On the boat to the island, Zhilin drifts into an uneasy sleep in the lower deck cabin, her rest plagued by nightmares of a man named Zhan, whose obsessive desire to capture her every moment soured into a chilling boast that she would do anything he asked. She wakes with a gasp, recoiling from Zeyu's touch, dismissing her terror as just a bad dream. When the boat docks, she realizes she left her phone, but Zeyu calmly produces it, chiding her for her carelessness before declaring he'll hold onto it for her. He takes her hand, his grip firm and unyielding, telling her to stick close. They arrive on the island, a place famous for the first sunrise of the new century, and Zeyu suggests they stay to watch it. He playfully mocks her concern about finding a room so late, making it clear that his goal is to spend the night with her. He tells her to wait while he secures a place, his gaze softening for a moment as he looks at her. After a frantic search, he finally finds a vacant room. But when he returns, she is gone. A cold dread seizes him as he calls her name, Li Zhilin, a name that echoes in the empty. He frantically questions passersby, but no one has seen her. The fear of abandonment triggers a devastating memory of his childhood in the orphanage, watching a young Zhilin prepare to leave as he pleaded with her not to leave him alone. The agony of the past cripples him and he collapses in despair. He finally finds her by the water's edge, gazing out at the dark sea. She confesses that she just wanted to disappear somewhere no one could find her. When she challenges him for a reason not to, his mind fills with dark, possessive thoughts of them being destined for hell together. But he pushes the darkness down, his voice steady as he finally answers, telling her he wants to watch the sunrise with her. Under a canopy of stars with the scent of the sea in the air, Lin teases Zeyu, asking if he's captivated by her beauty. But his focus is elsewhere. He informs her with a deadpan expression that the last boat has already left. He takes her hand, a flicker of a smile on his lips as he declares it's too late for her to run away from him, calling her by her name, Zhilin. They arrive at a hotel, and Lin is immediately flustered to discover there's only one room. Zeyu coolly explains that it was short notice and they were lucky to get even one. She can't help but blush furiously, her mind racing with implications, which he immediately calls her out on with a smirk. She denies imagining anything, clutching her bag like a shield. Relieved at least that the bathroom door isn't transparent glass. As she announces she's going to take a shower, her heart pounds in her chest. Left alone, Zeyu's calm facade crumbles as he stares at his phone, a staggering negative balance of over 6 million displayed on the screen. He covers his face in despair, wondering what he's even doing. When Lin emerges from her shower, she finds him standing silently by the window. As she sits on the bed, she can clearly hear the water running as he takes his turn. The sound clicks off and the door opens, revealing Zeyu with only a towel around his waist. He asks if she's finished her shower, but his tone is strange, distant. Lin, concerned, asks what's wrong. He suddenly closes the distance, pinning her against the headboard, his grip tight and his body trembling. She begs him not to scare her, noticing with alarm that his voice is shaking as he asks when it started. Confused, she doesn't understand until he specifies he's talking about her eyes. A few minutes earlier, while in the shower, he'd found a pair of total color blindness sunglasses in his bag, a stark reminder of his condition. He asks her if she appears gray in his eyes too, his voice laced with a deep-seated pain. He insists she doesn't have to pity him because she is the one with the most right to hate him. But what he feels for her, he breathes, has never been pity, and he pulls her into a desperate, passionate kiss. Later, as they lie in bed, she questions if they can really just fall asleep holding hands. Her senses feel heightened. The sound of the waves seems less real than his breathing beside her. She whispers his name and he confirms he's there, making her wonder if this is all a dream. She reminisces about their childhood, asking which memory makes him smile, and he specifies the one about Tao Ye. She recalls the day he was leaving the orphanage, how she broke the rule about running in the halls for the first and only time just to say goodbye. But when she saw him, her mind went blank, and instead of wishing him well, she blurted out something completely different, leaving him looking dazed. Even with her poor color recognition, she remembers his white sneakers and the plastic bucket he dropped. She realizes that every time she looked his way back then, their gazes would meet. He was always silently watching her. Hearing this, Zeyu's mood darkens instantly. He accuses her of throwing bait again, questioning what she expects him to do when she speaks of another man while lying in his bed. He pins her down, his eyes burning with intensity as he demands to know if she wants a gentleman or a scoundrel. Just as the tension reaches its peak, her phone buzzes, shattering the moment. Zeyu's eyes narrow, correctly guessing it's the man who gives her nightmares. He orders her not to answer. Elsewhere, a man named Shen Zinshin is on the line, taunting her, but she firmly tells him to stop messing with her and that she's not coming back. He simply chuckles, threatening to send a cute couple photo of them to her teacher if she doesn't behave, a move that would crumble everything she's worked for. He warns her not to make him the bad guy before wishing her good night, leaving Lin and Zeyu separated by a wall of unspoken tension. The next morning, Lin wakes up beside a sleeping Zeyu, their hands intertwined. She reflects on a strange dream about their orphanage days and realizes that Zeyu is far easier to understand than she first thought. He's like a traffic light, flickering between red and yellow, but ultimately always turning green, always letting her approach. She thinks about how she's never seen a sunrise, and as if hearing her thoughts, he speaks, saying he's seen plenty of sunsets. The memory triggers a painful flashback for Zeyu, back to a sweltering day when he clutched a perfect test score, believing it would make his mother smile. He rushed home only to hear screams from inside. His mother was being strangled by his father, and when Zeyu tried to intervene, he was violently beaten instead. That was the brutal lesson his father taught him. A perfect score couldn't fix a broken home. Later, bruised and sitting on the steps, his friend finds him and offers him a clean shirt. His friend, enraged, wants to go kill that bastard. But Zeyu stops him, knowing it would only lead to his mother getting hurt more. He's left alone again, staring at a text from his friend telling him to come live with him and escape that hell. The memory shifts to his father being arrested, his mother watching from the doorway. He crouches in the dark, utterly alone. His friend runs through the dawn, finding Zeyu just as the sun begins to rise, a sight he'd never thought could be so blinding. Back in the present, watching the sunrise with Lin, he quietly agrees that it's beautiful. Then, with a heavy heart and all the pain of his past weighing on him, he looks at her and makes a final, heartbreaking request. Don't choose me. Zhilin sits lost in thought, the memory of someone telling her not to choose them echoing in her mind. Her phone buzzes, a message from Tao Ye waiting at the dock, but another text chain catches her eye. A confession from Zeyu that makes her let out a wry, tired laugh. A friend's mother teases her about the boyfriend message, gently advising her to choose a man who makes her happy. A simple kindness Jilin finds herself deeply envying. Later, as Zeyu suggests they go home, he suddenly stops her, his gaze intense. He takes her hand, his voice low as he confesses that he misses her. He's tormented by their status as just friends, desperate to be part of her life and know her joys and sorrows. With his heart laid bare, he finally asks if he can be her boyfriend. A flicker of conflict crosses Jilin's face as she clutches her phone, telling him she can't give an answer just yet. It's not that she needs to think, she clarifies, but that she has something important to take care of first. Zeyu is left reeling, wondering if this is just a new, cruel way of being rejected. By Sunday, his anxiety has festered into a dark obsession. As he prepares for a photo shoot, his mind spirals, imagining another man bothering her, and the prime suspect is Zeyu. Just as he's about to leave, he runs into Jilin, who is also heading out. He can't shake his unease, pulling her close and quietly asking her to wait for him at home when she's done. His little brother is stunned by his hopelessly lovesick expression. Outside, Zeyu fusses over her, insisting she take his car and call him if anything happens. His over-the-top concern actually calms Jilin's nerves. In the car, his brother notes that Jilin isn't a child, but Zeyu's expression darkens as he insists that today, she's different. Meanwhile, a silver-haired man named Shen Xincheng stands outside a theater, texting someone that he can't wait to see them. A sharp voice calls his name, and he turns to find a woman in a business suit standing behind him. When he asks who she is, her answer is chillingly professional. She introduces herself as Li Zhilin's legal representative and asks for a private word.